Hello, hello. Hi, guys. This is Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy. I am your host of the Business of Happiness podcast. Welcome back to the Business of Happiness. I am so excited to be here with you today at this moment in your life, at this moment in our lives, recognizing the power that you have within you to create your own reality and to feel the way you want to feel in your life. And this episode is part 2 of Are You Your Own Worst Enemy? And so powerful because it is exactly how we step out of our own way when we realize those upper limits, those self-sabotaging moments when really good things are actually happening in your life. And darn it, we go in there and we limit ourselves. So welcome back to this part 2 of recognizing when you're getting in your own way and when you're your own worst enemy of actually achieving or feeling or experiencing the great things that you've been working so hard towards. And it's so interesting when we start having this moment of recognition, when we realize, oh my gosh, I've been blaming it on everything outside of me. But how much do I actually have to play in the outcome that I'm experiencing? And it's not a moment of blame. I just want to get that clear. It's not a moment of blame. It's a moment of recognizing the responsibility is actually an indicator of your power. You know, I was remembering this moment even in my personal life with my kids. I've learned some really big lessons in parenting. I'm sure all my parents out there, if you know, you know. And I always say my kids are my greatest teachers. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned from my kids is how to let go of control. I think in dentistry, we've been so convinced that we can control things, especially if you're a high-achieving woman who has done great things in your life. If you've built a practice, if you're great at the artistry of what you do in dentistry, then we kind of get convinced somewhere along the way that we can control things. I mean, even I remember when the kids were little, I could kind of control their bedtime, their eating, what they ate to an extent. My kids, when they were little, I know there are moms out there who are like, what are you talking about? I cannot control that. For some reason, there was a little bit of control that I was convinced I had. And yes, it was all illusionary. But that sense of needing to control the world around us has been something that I've been learning my whole life of how to let that go. And my children have been my greatest teachers in that as they got into their teenage, early 20s years. I recognized, wow, I can't control other human beings. I can't control what they do or say or whether or not they take good care of themselves. I don't have that control in their lives. And so learning to let go of the control has been a huge lesson of mine, even in my business. Having intention, yes. Having direction, yes. Having a dream and following it and getting up and doing the things that will help me achieve what I want to achieve, yes. But there's no control, that surrender, that allowing things to turn out the way they're going to turn out, that letting go has been a huge lesson in my life. And so a goal of mine in the past few years has, how much more can I release control? How much more? And so even that, even from a personal development standpoint, that's something I was reaching for. More trust, more surrender. Wouldn't you know, it's been flowing to me. Once again, when we have intention, we take action towards it. We allow our thoughts and our hearts to be open to it, then it comes to us. So I've been given more and more opportunity to really practice this idea of surrender and letting go of control. And it's been a beautiful awakening for me because my older kids, my older teenagers have been sharing more with me. Once I've given them that independence and that freedom, wouldn't you know, they've been giving me more closeness, which has been miraculous. And just when I thought I was getting too good, I went in and self-sabotaged. And what happened was that worry stepped back in. When things are going really well, worrying. And that was really the source of my control always, is worrying because I love my kids so deeply and really worrying about them. So I started over-inserting myself again. And what happened? I started really limiting that beautiful experience of closeness with my kids. Because as soon as mom stepped in and started trying to micromanage things, of course, we all know how this plays out. So this has been really resonating with me recently around where I am the one that interrupts my own success, even in the softer areas of my life. You know, last time on the last episode, we talked about things like money and ease. But I want us to also recognize that even in the places of creating closer relationships in our lives, even those moments, we sometimes self-sabotage from these old patterns. And the number one step is awareness. It's just having the awareness. The moment I realized in my relationship with my two older kids, wow, here I go again. I am sabotaging this closeness because I am inserting worry. The moment we have that awareness, we can start to choose new. But before we choose new, we need to make it safe. So in today's episode, I'm talking about, okay, once you identify, yes, I really am the one that's self-sabotaging here. I'm really the one that's getting in my own way. I've learned this lesson before, that there is no control. I've learned that the more I can trust and allow, I get closer relationships with my older teenage kids. Then what do I do with this information? Once I have the awareness, now what? And I think that the awareness really is the first step. It's just having that moment of honesty and clarity with yourself, because we cannot change that which we're not aware of. So having the awareness is so powerful. Wow, look at that. And it's important here not to overshadow the awareness with self-blame or making yourself feel bad. So often we beat ourselves up, and that guilt really serves no purpose. The awareness is powerful, but when we double down on the awareness with guilt or shame, we make ourselves feel worse. And honestly, all that does is it feeds the worry. It feeds the guilt. It feeds the very source that had you self-sabotaging in the first place, the fear. So how do we drop the worry? How do we drop the self-blame? How do we drop the self-critiquing when we have that awareness? And this is where the work that I teach in my programs and in my retreats to women dentists is we have to go to the body. This is a moment when we cannot over-intellectualize things. We have to recognize it's my nervous system, it's my amygdala, it is that very rudimentary part of our bodies that's literally fighting to keep us safe and keep us alive. Our thoughts are so powerful that they can completely trigger our bodies to go into fight or flight. And so we cannot go to the mind to solve this problem. We have to go to the body. And the easiest way we can do that is by interrupting what we're doing, stopping wherever we are, literally stopping ourselves in our tracks and going to something that allows you to feel more connected to your body or safer. And for me, that's getting outside. It's moving my body. It's getting away from whatever task I'm in the middle of, whether it's sitting and worrying or on my phone, or that was interesting that my phone chimed at that right time. Isn't that so funny? Our phones are constantly triggering our nervous system, constantly telling us what we should and shouldn't pay attention to, and giving us a reason to be in that fight or flight space. So I put my phone down, I get off the phone, and I go outside, or I move my body, I go for a run, I go for a hike, I get out of my own head and I get back into my body. I teach some great techniques that you can use this in the office too. And that's for another episode. And if you're interested, please message me and I'll send you some information about that. But even in the dental practice, when you have this awareness of, wow, I've been wishing for more new patients and now the new patients are coming and look, I'm sabotaging myself. Or I've been wishing for more ease, more space, more calm in my day. And now I have the whole afternoon and I'm sabotaging myself by introducing worry and stress and giving myself that fear that I've got to do more to bring in more patients, that this ease and calm in my afternoon feels dangerous. So giving ourselves that awareness is step one, and then interrupting the pattern is step two. Going to your body, whether it's tapping, breathing, running, yoga, it has to be something that reconnects you to your body, and then creating the safety, reminding yourself of the truth. Now, going to safety without going to the body will not work. There is no positive affirmation great enough to tell you you are safe when you're in a place of fight or flight. It doesn't work. We have to go to the body. We have to calm that part of our nervous system down. And it's amazing that we have bodies to do this with. You know, I think so often we blame our bodies for so much, the stress and the overwhelm, the inefficiencies. We get angry at our bodies, and it's actually a really beautiful resource for us if we know how to use it. If we know how the body works and we recognize how fight or flight lives in the cells of our body and in our nervous system, and how that fight or flight cuts off our ability to even think clearly, to have perspective, then it makes sense that saying to yourself, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm loved, I'm loved, everything's going well, when you're in fight or flight, does not work. It has to be reconnecting with your body, shaking it out, taking a deep breath, getting outside, finding perspective, and then identifying what it was. What was the thought that put you back in the place of fear? What was that worry, concern, fear, insecurity? What was that part that was creating the nidus for self-sabotage? Once we can identify that, then we have something to work with. And giving ourselves an opportunity to reframe it. So let's talk about the worry for a moment. What is the thing you're worried about? When I go to this example of my kids, when they're sharing a little bit more with me, the worry for me that I identified is that they're going to be hurt, that there's going to be somewhere where they're going to experience pain. My daughter was sharing with me that, she was really stressed out. I could tell she wasn't taking care of herself. I could tell she was in that place of overdoing, of doing too much, of not giving herself a break. And she was experiencing exactly what we're talking about here. She was in fight or flight. And there's no amount of me telling her, babe, you need to get outside. You need to get more sleep. You need to, move your body. You need to eat better. All those parts of getting reconnected with her body, she's going to have to learn herself. She's going to have to find the desire to listen to this podcast, but it's going to have to come from her. And that's where I get to remind myself again, oh, right now in this moment, I'm safe. And it requires me doing the exact same thing I'm asking her to do. But identifying what I'm worried about helps, because then I get to see it from a new perspective. Oh, there we go. It's just my mother's love. It's because I love her so much. And what do I remember to be true? Oh yeah, that I have no control, that I need to lean into trust. And right there, I come back to the original goal, the original intention of allowing myself to be more trusting. But it required me to identify the thought. It required me to be clear with myself of what the worry, what the thought was. Hello, incredible woman dental business owner. If you have been craving more freedom, more joy, and more ease, then this interruption in your podcast episode is meant for you. And so is the Empowered Owner Retreat happening this November 13 through 16 at the stunning Diplomat Resort in Hollywood, Florida. This isn't just another conference, it's an intimate, transformational experience where we step away from the demands of your practice and the stresses of home and finally breathe, reset, and more importantly, reimagine what's possible. We'll redesign your business model so that it supports your life vision, not the other way around. You'll walk away with practical, tactical tools to reclaim your time, to lead your team with confidence, and be done with all the staffing drama and stress, to build a business that gives you more space and time, more peace, without having to hustle harder. It's an exclusive small group retreat and the spaces are almost gone. I honestly don't know if I'm ever going to be doing this again, so this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So if this speaks to you, schedule a time to chat with me. It's invite only, but I'd love to meet you and see if this is something that can serve you in your life and your business. So click on the link in the show notes or visit www.thebizofhappiness.com to learn more. Your time is now. So now we get to replace it. Once you've had the identification, the awareness, first of all, that you are self-sabotaging, you interrupt the pattern, move your body, get outside, do some breath work, shake, scream, cry, whatever the emotion is that you need to move to get back into your body, and then identify the thought. Now, how do we shift it? How do we transform that thought into clarity? And this is where we can replace it with something really beautiful. And I have 4 go-tos. Appreciation, curiosity, celebration, and love. Appreciation, curiosity, celebration, and love. Appreciation could be called gratitude, could be called thanks, could be a prayer. Appreciation is where we always go when we want to elevate our emotions to something empowering from a disempowering state. So the disempowering states would be fear, grief, overwhelm, worry, guilt. Those are the disempowering states. Those states where you feel like you don't have any power, like everything outside of you is dictating how you feel. And appreciation raises your vibration a little bit. So even in this example with my daughter, I go to, oh, I'm so grateful that I have this awareness now. I'm so grateful that I now can catch myself when I'm self-sabotaging. I'm so grateful that I have an experience and a history with my daughter that I can reflect on and realize every time I leaned into trust, I opened up that portal for her to communicate with me again. Every time I let go of needing to control or micromanage or tell her what to do, I open up that trust from her, respect, and she shares with me. I'm so grateful that I know how to move my body to find safety again. I'm so grateful that I have this beautiful daughter that, for so long I wanted this relationship with. Notice how when I allow myself to go to what I call a waterfall of appreciation, it's when I just sit back and I give myself a moment to think about all the things I'm grateful for. My elevated mood, my energy raises, and I gain new perspective. I gain new clarity. I give myself a chance to just literally go through all the things I'm grateful for. The second one is curiosity. Now, curiosity is another great way to step out of fear or insecurity or shame. We start to get curious. I wonder when that moment was that I started worrying. I wonder what the thought was. I wonder what my daughter's thinking. I wonder what's actually happening in this situation. I wonder if I approached it from this perspective. The moment we become investigators, we step out of that victimized place. So curiosity is a great resource for me, especially when I'm having trouble with the gratitude part. Curiosity is something that also feeds my intellectual mind. And for those of you who are so in your own heads and having trouble being in your bodies, curiosity is a great gateway drug, if you will, to elevating your emotion, because curiosity drops the fear. And then another really powerful one is celebration. I start celebrating. I celebrate myself. Gosh, Tarryn, I'm so proud of you for recognizing this upper limit. I'm so proud of you for identifying that you do not have to be a victim of your situation. I am so proud of you for realizing that you have more power in your situation and in your life than you've been giving yourself credit for. I am so proud of you. See how that immediately starts elevating your emotion as well. So we've identified 3 ways to move through the feeling of shame or guilt on the other side of identifying where you've been your own worst enemy. Those were appreciation, curiosity, celebration. Now we come to the 4th, love. And this is so undervalued. Love in all respects of the word. Love for yourself. I mean, deep self-compassion and grace. Oh, Tarryn, it makes so much sense that you sabotaged by going to micromanaging and control again, because, sweetheart, that is what you have been leaning on your whole life. That is what you used as a coping mechanism from a very young age. So I give you so much grace. It's just that old pattern showing up again. Notice how the compassion saves you from self-blame and beating yourself up. It immediately adds softening. It takes you out of fight or flight. Love for the situation. Love for my daughter. Let's now use these same techniques, these same practices that I've given you with a different situation. Let's say it's self-sabotage around money. You've just had your best month ever in the practice. You've just brought in more money than you ever have before. It's what you were working towards. And wouldn't you know, you go and spend it all. You've sabotaged yourself by buying a really big thing, and suddenly you're back in fear and feeling like you don't have enough. Noticing. Step 1, notice. Oh my gosh, I sabotaged again. I just went and spent all that money on something, and now I'm already putting myself back in that sense of urgency for next month. Isn't that so interesting? And giving yourself permission to step away. Just literally get away. Get away from trying to market more. Get away. Notice you trying to overfunction and overdo. Notice all that fight or flight behavior that's coming in, and the control and the anger and the blame and the frustration and the fear. And get out. Move your body. Go for a walk. Make this safe. Gain some perspective. Shake, cry, scream, do yoga. Get back in your body. And then notice what happened. What was the fear that stepped in? What was the thought that stepped in? Oh, the thought that stepped in was, when is the other shoe going to drop? This is a fluke. This was a fluke month. It's not sustainable. Oh, isn't that interesting? You found the thought, and whatever that is for you. Isn't it interesting that I just had the thought that this was an off month, a fluke month, and that we're never going to make that much money again? Isn't it interesting that that was the thought that went to the self-sabotaging behavior? Okay, now let's use those beautiful 4 redirections. Appreciation. I'm so grateful that we had this great month. I'm so grateful for the flow of wealth and abundance in my life. I'm so grateful that I have dentistry that is so lucrative. I'm so grateful that I have this education. I'm so grateful for all the work that I have put in. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I'm so grateful for the awareness of this self-sabotaging behavior. Beautiful. Give yourself that waterfall of appreciation to start elevating your emotion again. Number 2, curiosity. Oh, I wonder what it was that was so successful last month. What was it about our production? What was it about our collections? I wonder what it was that we can reproduce, that we can recreate. I wonder what I could support myself with in the future so that I don't have that self-sabotaging behavior. I wonder how I could create more safety for myself, that it's okay to hold on to that much wealth. See the curiosity? Third one, celebration. Let's actually have a celebration. I mean, let's celebrate you, but let's celebrate with the team. Celebrate with your spouse. Celebrate you. Give yourself an opportunity to celebrate. And celebration can look big or it can look really small. It can just be driving home tonight and singing your own praises. And then the 4th one is love. And it's so interesting that we're so resistant to bring love into business, but it's so powerful. Loving yourself, loving your patients, loving your team. And I know this one can be accessible to you because you went into this because you love. So tap back into that. I know you can find that maybe more readily than all the others. And it's so accessible to us, and yet we tell ourselves that it's not a business strategy. It is. Because at the very least, it elevates your emotion. It reminds you what matters to you. What I hope for you to get most out of this beautiful episode is the power you have to shift things around when you notice your own self-sabotage. When you notice that you've gotten in your own way, that's actually the window opening to deeper connection with the power you have, of your own experience, of recreating that incredible production month, of recreating that connection with your teenagers, of recreating that safety and ease and in spaciousness in your life, of giving yourself permission. Because it happened once, it means it can happen again. It will, especially when you identify how you can create more safety for yourself to experience it. And let it be okay that you recognize, I don't feel safe in this much wealth. It feels uncomfortable. It feels foreign to me. That is okay. Realize that. And know that everything we experience for the first time is new and requires us to feel safe in it, to make it familiar. And you get to do that because you are so powerful. And when you feel good, that's when great things flow to you. And yes, there'll be days you don't feel good, I know, but recognizing them, having awareness, and then shifting them, that's where the power lies. Because when you feel good, that's when you can do good. Have a phenomenal rest of the week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Business of Happiness podcast. If this episode brought you new perspective and value, I invite you to subscribe so that you catch all upcoming episodes and leave us a review. And if you know of a friend or colleague who could benefit from this perspective, share this episode with them and empower their day. For more information about the Business of Happiness and the Radical Happiness for Practitioners course, find me on www.thebizofhappiness.com. See you there.